Welcome back, everybody. Today we are diving into a legal battle that made the wild, wild west a little bit less wild this month. That's right, we're talking about the Wyoming corner crossing case and the federal court case update that came with it. So today we're going to dive into what is corner crossing, the case details, the court info, and more importantly, what it means for you as a hunter. So what is corner crossing? Well, all across the western US, there is roughly 10 million acres of landlocked public land that the general public doesn't have access to. And a decent chunk of this is done by checkerboarding. So what that means is you just have alternating chunks of public land, private land, public land, private land, and it creates a checkerboard pattern. Now obviously where these come to corner, you have the corner of a public land chunk meeting the corner of a public land chunk, but it also has two intersecting private land chunks. Now I don't care how much you slim down, shimmy, suck your gut in, as you try and cross over that corner, regardless, you are going to cross into the airspace of the public land. And for quite some time, this has been debated whether this is trespassing or not. Obviously, the landowners are going to feel it's trespassing. The public that just wants access to the public land, going to argue against it. Well, Wyoming finally has a case that's going to really set the precedent for this. Now, I will throw in my disclaimer that in no way is this legal advice. You still need to read your state laws, your state regulations, your local ordinances. Everything that might encompass whether this is trespassing or not really is going to be something you need to look into. There's also lawyers out there that you can contact in your given state and they can give you a little bit better guidance. I'm just somebody that, based on my line of work, has read a decent amount of case law and kind of understands what it means and can give you a decent idea of what it might mean for you. In this case, we go back to 2021, and it's 4 elk hunters from Missouri. They're out in rural Wyoming in one of those checkerboard patterns, just trying to access some public land. They actually take the suck in your gut and shimmying and take it even to the next level. They actually build a ladder-like device to get themselves over the public land and private land corners and make sure in no way are they going to touch private land in any way. They even went a step further and contacted the sheriff in the area and told them what they were going to do before they set out on their multi-day excursion.
These gentlemen were here last year, and the game warden was called, sheriff was called. They spoke with the gentleman. I guess nothing happened after that.
Okay.
They're here again this year, corner jumping. I don't know where they're at in there, but
Are they here now, or?
yeah,
they're in there.
Okay.
But they've been up there for the last 3 days or so.
Okay.
Out in corner jumping.
All right.
Have you seen them corner pass?
Yeah, we just watched
I just watched them. So
and it's posted. I have
I
signs
watched
right
them
there too.
jump this corner right here.
Okay.
What they have is a ladder that they put down and go over.
Because I have signs right
So,
there, so you can't step over it.
Yeah.
so as far as a game and fish trespass, I don't think I can really do much with it. It'd be more of the criminal side. I was thinking. I don't know how your guys' direction on the trespass
They're not
is.
gonna do anything for it. We'll write it up. The county attorney will
Yeah.
prosecute for corner crossing.
Will
They
or
will?
won't?
They will not.
Won't.
No, but
They
we have to
will.
write it up and send it to them.
But as rich businessmen who don't even live in the state of Wyoming do, the gentleman that owned the land and North Carolina resident lost his cool, called the cops, got them prosecuted, went to a jury of their peers for trespassing. The jury decided they were not guilty. That's win number 1. But that only helps you criminally. Civilly, Fred Eshelman, what I'm sure is just a wonderful human being, landowner, sued these hunters for $9 million in damage. Now, how they caused $9 million in damage by just going over the airspace, over the corner of Fred's land, I think he was going to have a hard time articulating. But this is America. You can sue anybody for anything. It's one of the drawbacks to our legal system. So, nonetheless, Fred did what any rich business owner does, and he sued these hunters for literally everything their families have probably ever had. Now, this went to federal district court, and the first judge decided that this did not constitute trespassing. It's win number 2. But Fred could not just let this lie. He had to keep pushing it. So they filed an appeal up to the Court of Appeals at the 10th Circuit Court. For those of you who aren't familiar with the court hierarchies, the district courts feed into the circuit courts, which feeds into the big one, the Supreme Court. So this is one step below the Supreme Court. There are 13 circuit courts in the US. So this was going to be a pretty monumental decision. Well, it was heard by a 3-judge panel, and after that panel heard the argument, they made the decision. This is still not a trespassing. They affirmed the lower court's rulings, and this was another massive win for hunters. It's win number 3. Fred, you're down 3-0, just let it die, bud. Now in the court case, they cite a whole bunch of super old laws from the 1800s, super new laws from like the 1970s, and pretty much everything in between. But again, the judges ruled on the side of the hunter. They gave a bunch of good language in the case law that is probably going to be helpful to hunters moving forward. So what does this mean to you? Well, if you hunt in the 10th Circuit Court's jurisdiction, which is Colorado, Kansas, New Mexico, Oklahoma, Wyoming, and Utah, well then this just made corner crossing a lot more legally sound for you. Now again, I do recommend that you check your local state's regulations. This was a federal civil case, and waters start to muddy a little bit when you start looking at civil, criminal, federal, state. It's just better to dot your T's and cross your I's, or something like that. Now if you live in one of the 44 other states in the United States, this is still helpful to you, right? It kind of sets the precedent moving forward. It gives courts something to stand on when they're making these decisions. I don't want to be the guy that makes new case law in a different circuit court, but someone somewhere is going to do it, and this gives them a solid case to look at. Now, maybe our villain Fred does us one last favor, figures out some way to push this up to the US Supreme Court. I doubt that's going to happen anyway, but it would be absolutely monumental to get a decision on this by the Supreme Court and really make it the law of the entire land. So here are my thoughts on this. Number 1, I don't know that any piece of land I have ever looked at is worth me risking 1, my freedom, or 2, my family's financial stability. But I still do think this is a monumental win. If it opens up a ton of public land to the public that should have access to it, well then that is a huge win for us as hunters. My fear though is that hunters are going to go out into the field, pull up their phone, use onX, try and cross these corners, maybe some that don't have actual geographical reference points, and they're going to mess up and cross into private land. You can also probably count on rich landowners, again, being absolutely wonderful people and figuring out a way around this, whether it be installing 20-foot tall poles at the corners of their property or whatever the case may be. I don't think this is probably the end of the corner crossing saga. I mean, they want to keep all of this land to themselves. That is just the reality of what this is. So if you choose to do it, make sure you're super squared away. Don't just use onX, go to a corner and try and cross. Use corners that have geographical reference points, that you know exactly where the corner is, and then do it legally. But if you can keep doing it that way, it's a huge win for us, and I can't wait to see kind of where this case goes from here, or if our man Fred just kind of lets this finally die. Until next time, I'm Matt with Deer and Donuts. I hope this video was helpful to you. If you would be so kind, jump on down, hit the subscribe button. We'd love to see you back. Goodbye.